Hello YouTube, my name is Nero, and today, if I may steal a line from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, welcome back my friends to this show that never ends. Welcome to Dear Nero, the weekly series here on my channel where I answer fan mail and fan questions. And man, we're like almost 90 episodes into this series. I cannot believe how long this series has gone on. I enjoy doing it every week. I remember the spawn of this series. It was probably partway through Modern Warfare 3, and I was just talking to my friends the other day about how we played so much Call of Duty over the past few years that we don't judge years based upon the number of year, like 2007, 2008, 2009. We judge it by what Call of Duty was out that year. It's like, oh yeah, so back, I remember that. It was back during Modern Warfare 3 that happened. You know, we paste, like, whenever we want, okay, if we want to say like 2009 or 2010, like, oh, during Modern Warfare 2, or if something happened between 2011 and 2012, it's like, oh, that was during Black Ops. Yeah, I remember that. It's weird. I don't know if anyone else is like that. But yeah, man, I spawned the video idea series. I'm like, you know what? We're going to do a weekly series where you guys just send me in a bunch of questions and I answer them. You know, a lot of YouTubers do it. I figured I would do it as well. A lot of people like to, you know, get to know the YouTuber they watch on a daily basis on more of a personal level, and Dear Nero was like perfect for that. And yeah, we're like almost 90 episodes in. I think this is number 89. Like, we're approaching 100 episodes. So it's pretty freaking insane. So the gameplay we got today is a bunch of different Call of Duty gameplay. Variety is always a good thing, and if everything goes right, there should be a gameplay from a bunch of different Call of Duties in this video, of course, depending on how long it takes me to do this episode of Dear Nero. So we're going to have some Modern Warfare 2, some Black Ops, some Ghost, we'll see. We'll get a bunch of stuff in there, and I hope you guys all enjoy the show. Let's hop into this with the first question. He's going to write, Dear Nero, if you can name the perfect Call of Duty from your video, what would you name it? Keep up the awesome videos. Cal from Ohio. So Cal, I think the obvious answer is Call of Duty Nero Ops. Right? Right? Nero Ops? I think that should be a thing. I should get all credit for the perfect Call of Duty, because I'm the one that spent like 4 hours putting together them polls. I didn't think, like, the idea of the perfect Call of Duty, I figured it'd be easy. I'm like, okay, let's make a poll with all these assault rifles and all the submachine guns. It took a lot longer than I thought it would. It was kind of ridiculous, but I was definitely happy with the perfect Call of Duty videos. Definitely turned out well. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, were you planning on having a YouTube career after high school? Spartacus from Washington. So, Spartacus, I did not plan on doing YouTube really at all. I had done a couple channels. I had a few channels here and there. Mainly montage stuff during Call of Duty 4, World at War, and Modern Warfare 2. And I just posted it every now and again. Wasn't really that big into YouTube. My idea after high school was, you know, just join the workforce and do what everyone else does. I worked for a month before I quit because I hated that job. It was awful, and it was stressful. I was a customer service, I want to say technician? I worked customer service for AT&T, basically. There's this place in a little city. It's not too far from here, which I don't even think that place is like there anymore, because it was an awful place. It was just full of people doing drugs and stuff. It was awful. But yeah, basically we would, you know, people calling with questions about their bills and stuff. We'd answer it. I quit that job after a month. It was pretty awful. And then I went and worked at Walmart for a while. And then eventually just didn't want to work there either. And then I started up my YouTube channel, and I just kind of blew up with my channel. After like a few months, I was able to get partnered, and then it just kind of roller coaster to where I am now. And that's kind of my career stories so far. And think about YouTube. A lot of people are always asking, you know, what are you going to do if YouTube shuts down? Or what are you going to do? I mean, YouTube can't last forever. And yeah, I think YouTube actually is a pretty viable career option. You know, someone that's been doing YouTube for a long time understands the ins and outs of YouTube. I feel as though YouTube is going to be up for a very long time. I don't see something as profitable and as big as YouTube actually ever going away. It's just so giant. You know, how can you get rid of something like YouTube? And if you think of how long monetization has been on YouTube, and you think of how long people have actually been, you know, making money off YouTube, making videos and being partners and being partnering with networks or partnering directly with YouTube and doing that, it's only been 5 years or so. It's only been like 5 years that YouTube has actually been a monetized place where people can go and try and make a career out of it. It's only been 5 years, and there's several people that are well over millionaires now from this, and people are making very good living stuff. And we're only 5 years into this. I think YouTube is just now starting, and I think it's only going to get better. And that's why I'm definitely happy to be where I'm at. I'm happy I got in early. And hopefully, we'll see where YouTube takes us. YouTube can shut down tomorrow. I'd be fine. I mean, I would definitely miss the interaction with people. I would miss making videos and stuff. But I want to do YouTube for a long time. And I'm going to do it as long as I possibly can. But definitely was not the career choice that I had going out of high school. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, last week you played some Borderlands gameplay, and I was wondering, what was your Psycho build? Because you seem to be wrecking some face. I play Borderlands 2 a lot, 30 plus days, but I'm not too fond of the Psycho, and I only have him up to level 61, and I just cannot do well in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode with him. Thank you, David from North Carolina. So David, you might be in luck there. So I plan on doing some Borderlands 2 Vault Hunter builds on Nero's Let's Plays. And if you guys don't know, Nero's Let's Plays is my secondary channel. It's youtube.com/Neros with an S at the end, similar to NerosCinema. Nero's Let's Plays. Yeah, Nero's Let's Plays. And there's a link in the description of that. You guys can go check it out. But mainly post games that I don't really post on here. I've done a bunch of different Let's Plays of Pokemon games and Borderlands and Grand Theft Auto and Pokemon Showdown. I'm trying to think of all the things I've done over there. I've done a bunch of things over there. Whenever I feel like playing a game, typically I'll record it and post it up there. And Borderlands 2, I'm going to try and do some build guides for people. Because, I'm really trying to figure out the formula. Because right now, I have all the builds, built. I went and made them. And I know they work. I've tried them out. And it's just a matter of me making the video, showing you why I'm using everything. And then, of course, going and using them in the actual game and showing you how effective they can really be. But trying to figure out that format so it's not a super long video because people like their tip videos to be short. I definitely want to be doing that. I'm probably going to do one for Krieg. I can do a melee build. I can do a Hellborn build, a hybrid, which is melee and Hellborn. I can do it for level 72. I can do it for level 61. I can do it for level 50. And I think I might do the same thing for Zero the Assassin. I do a critical build, a melee build, a hybrid build, and maybe even on the rest of the Vault Hunters. I don't know. I don't have any of the other Vault Hunters up to level 72. I've never really used them around too much. But the beauty of playing on the PC is there's modding, and modding is a thing. And I can just mod myself a level 72 character of each Vault Hunter and then play with them a bit. And, see what works. And the thing about that is I refuse, I'm okay with modding a character to 72. I'm okay with that. I will never mod any weapons or any gear in. Because to me, it's what's the point of Borderlands if you're just going to cheat to have all your weapons in there? That doesn't seem, legit to me. So, I don't know, it might take a while to get the rest of this stuff, but I have just about everything I need to make build guides for Zero and Krieg. You can find that kind of stuff on your Let's Plays. It's going to be posted up relatively soon. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I was wondering if you would ever like to see a Pokemon game come out for the Xbox 360. Have a wonderful day, Jamie from Ireland. So Jamie, of course everybody would like that. I think everybody would like to have Pokemon games come out on the 360, the PS3, the PS4, the Xbox One, even PC stuff, right? Everyone would love that to happen, but Nintendo has the exclusive rights to Pokemon. But the thing about Nintendo is, how well is Nintendo really doing? How well is Nintendo really doing with that Wii U right now? See, I wonder if it would be profitable enough for Nintendo to kind of sell parts of the rights to the Pokemon games and allow other people and allow other platforms to have these Pokemon games on there. What everyone's always wanted is a Pokemon game that's like Skyrim, just a giant open world like Skyrim that you have to, everything is 3D, everything is fully animated, you have to run around and find Pokemon in the wild and catch them that way, and have it just be a real thing, be able to play with your friends. Everyone's always wanted that, but you're never going to be able to do anything like that on hardware like the Wii and the Wii U. That's just the thing. Nintendo does not make nearly as good of a gaming console as the PS3 and the Xbox. It just doesn't happen. Apparently capability-wise, hardware-wise, they're actually really powerful. But you look at the games and you look at the stuff that Nintendo actually makes for their stuff, it's well, this is not like the other stuff at all. So, I would love for that to happen. It will never happen, though, because Nintendo has such a grasp on the entire Pokemon franchise. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, why do you think MLG and competitive Call of Duty limit the equipment used? This includes guns, maps, players, perks, etc. I think if competitive COD made everything accessible, more people would watch. Thank you for your time, Logan from Illinois. And Logan, I completely agree. I completely agree with you that if Call of Duty competitive was the same game that everybody else played, that it would be a lot more interesting. I don't know why they stripped the game down so much. They stripped the game down. I kind of understand it. First part of the question was, why do you think MLG and competitive Call of Duty limit the equipment used? And I understand why, because a lot of stuff in the game is not balanced. You don't want the IED in there. You don't want Amplify being in competitive Call of Duty Ghosts, because Amplify just completely counters dead silence. Everybody can hear everybody. It'd be a crouch fest. If that's the case, if there are so many things in your game that are unbalanced, like in terms of map balance, or if they're unbalanced in terms of multiplayer perks or multiplayer weapons or equipment, then that's on the developer. Infinity Ward is really like, I see them on Twitter, like I see, Tina and Candice Alexia, I see like the community managers for Infinity Ward, they're always talking about competitive Call of Duty, and whenever the competitive Call of Duty stuff happens, they're always like live tweeting what happens, or always say they're watching it, or always, they're so interested in it. They shouldn't be interested in it, because MLG has went and banned half of your freaking game because it's unbalanced or trash. Right? Well, half the maps are not available. You cannot play half the maps. Half the guns, well, not half the guns, but a few of the guns are banned. You can't use them. A lot of the equipment is banned. I don't think they allow kill streaks at all, because they're just not balanced. And it's like, well, what in the hell, Infinity Ward? Your game is so unbalanced that they have to strip it down to like nothing. The same goes for Treyarch. They do the same thing in like the Treyarch style Call of Duties. If your game is not balanced enough for competitive play, then that's something on the developer's end that they need to fix, right? That's why I've always thought, like, oh no, just take the IED out. We can see how that's overpowered. Well, if you're okay with them taking it out of competitive Call of Duty, why is it in the standard game? Why do we have to deal with it, but competitive players don't? It's ridiculous. So I definitely think that on the developer standpoint, they need to balance their game more. They need to make better maps. They need to make better guns. They need to balance out the equipment. And I can understand there's a line that you try not to cross, and I want them to I want MLG, like on the competitive side, I want them to allow more things in. It's things that may not be considered to be the most balanced thing in the world, like claymores, for example. Let them in, right? Let them in. If the flak jacket perk is there and it's balanced and there's a counter to it, put it in the game. I would like to see how all that would work. I would like to see the entirety of the game in competitive, the same way League of Legends, which is like the most successful competitive game ever, is the exact same game that you're watching in all those League of Legends tournaments that have like a bazillion viewers every time they have a tournament on Twitch. It's the exact same game that I can sign in and play. I'm playing the exact same people, I'm playing on the exact same map, and the exact same things are happening. And that's why I would love to see competitive Call of Duty be the same as the in-game game, like what you get from the box, the out-of-box game. I would love for it to be like that, but for that to happen, the developers are going to have to look at their game, they're going to have to make their maps better, they're going to have to try and balance their game a bit more. And that was really long-winded, but yeah, those are my thoughts. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, what is your perspective on the gaming industry now and in the future? It's been over 50 years of gaming, and I sometimes find myself questioning to what our gaming companies can come up with next in gaming. I've often pondered on what would happen in the next 10 to 20 years from now. Vinyl Moon. Well, the guy's name is Vinyl Moon. That sounds like a brand or a developer or something, but the guy's name is Vinyl Moon. So what is my perspective on the gaming industry? So I think the gaming industry is definitely becoming better. I think it's definitely getting better over time. More and more money is being put into games. Gaming as a whole is becoming more mainstream within the world. Before, gaming was something that children did to pass the time between school and bedtime, right? That's what gaming seemed to be. But now gaming has kind of become more of a hobby. It's become a career option for a lot of us, and myself included. And it's becoming more mainstream to the world. I definitely think that's a good thing. A lot of money is being put into games. Like, just the games themselves cost millions upon millions of dollars. Of course, there's good independent games, but in terms of AAA titles, they're becoming giant. They're becoming so mainstream within the world that overall, I think gaming is having a much more prevalent presence in the world itself, and I like that. I definitely like that. Where do I see gaming going? Some people are excited about the Oculus Rift and the idea of like a 3D. I'm forgetting the phrase is escaping me right now, but that virtual reality, I think is the phrase I'm looking for in gaming. And I'm not really that excited for it personally. What I'm excited for is I want gaming itself. I want consoles to come out that are as powerful as modern PCs. And I'm not a PC Master Race person, but I do play single player games mainly on the PC. For example, I play a lot of Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2. and Skyrim and games of that nature. Not competitive multiplayer games, but mostly co-op single player games. I like to play that on my PC because I'm not the greatest PC player in the world, but I enjoy the fancy graphics. I can run everything in ultra settings and stuff, and it's just enjoyable to play. I would love to see consoles like the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 be able to keep up with this kind of thing, because right now, as it sits, PCs can do a lot, and you can do a lot. If a game is developed solely for the PC, it can be an amazing experience with tons of features and tons of everything, right? But the problem with it is a lot of the games that come out now are cross-platform, right? And you really have to deal with the fact that they're cross-platform, so you have to hold these games back so that they work on, that they still work on the 360, they still work on the PlayStation 3, and in the future, they're gonna have to hold games back still that they're gonna have to be able to work on the Xbox One and on the PlayStation 4. Now, of course, the PS4 and the Xbox One are much more powerful than the 360 and the PS3, and therefore will actually not be holding games back as much, but the thing of it is, man, I would just love more gaming consoles to actually come out on a more regular schedule. Not every 7 to 10 years. Every 3 to 4 years, I would like to see a new gaming console come out. Maybe 5 years, because it is a big purchase for a lot of people. But I would love to see that happen to the point where games can start, developing for better and better hardware. Therefore, games can get bigger and bigger and better. The big example I like to go back to is Skyrim. For me, man, there's so much to Skyrim. How many hours? What was that quote? Isn't there like 2,000 hours worth of side quests in that game? And there's just such a giant open world to explore, and I put so much time in that game, and I still find new things when I do play it. I want games to become that. I want games to be so ridiculously deep with what you can do and with the customization and with the graphic capabilities in the games. And that's what I'm hoping to see in the future of gaming, is games being developed for better and better platforms. But for that to happen, we're going to need newer and newer consoles. So that's kind of an issue. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I was thinking one day what Call of Duty would be like without DLC and microtransactions. I thought how boring Call of Duty would be without new maps every few months and microtransactions coming out every month. I was just wondering what your take on this is. Thanks, Jared from Alabama. So Jared, I definitely agree. I think DLC is amazing in every regard. I love the idea of downloadable content in video games. The beauty of it is, all right, you take a game, and the game can be good right from the get. DLC does not save a game, right? That doesn't happen. But the game needs to be good for it to happen in the first place. You play this game and you enjoy it, and if you enjoy a game, and this is especially prevalent to me, if you enjoy a game, you love that game, you want more. For me, it takes a lot for me to like something in terms of music, in terms of food, in terms of video games especially. It takes a lot for me to decide I like something, right? I don't like a lot of things. That's me. I'm very picky when it comes to a lot of things in life, and I just don't like a lot of stuff. But when I do decide I like something, and something sucks me in, and I do decide that I like that thing, that I'm like a fan of that thing for life, and I will love it to death, and I will buy everything there is to buy associated with that product, right? The Borderlands series. I decided one day that I wanted to try out Borderlands. My brother had Borderlands, and he talked about it, and it seemed like an interesting concept, and I just never really tried it before. It seemed, the idea of a single player game is completely different than anything I've ever really done before. The idea of a Borderlands game, and I tried it, and I fell in love with it. Then Borderlands 2 came out, and I fell in love with it. In Borderlands 2, I put freaking, I don't know how many hours in that game on the Xbox 360, and then I bought it for PC to try it in ultra settings, and now I've got 10 days worth of playtime on the PC, and I bought every piece of DLC that game has come out. I bought the official strategy guides on eBay, not for strategy guides, but just to read through them, because I think they're really cool. I love the idea of adding on to games. DLC is there, not because you need it, but because if you like what you're playing, you could go ahead and continue to play it and have more experiences and have more things within something that you love. Call of Duty is a game I love. I love playing it. So having new weapon camouflages come in, it's like freaking awesome. If they come out with these brand new maps, because we're playing Call of Duty all the time, regardless, they have new maps to do it on, that's freaking amazing. I love the idea of downloadable content. I love the idea of microtransactions. As long as they are not a pay-to-win microtransaction, and as long as they are not something that you are required to buy outside of your original purchase to really be able to enjoy the game. I love the idea of just adding on to it, not making an entirely new concept, if that makes any sense. But yeah, downloadable content and microtransactions are freaking amazing. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, how did you get to know I am Wildcat? Have you ever played with any of the people that he makes videos with? William from the USA. So, William, the only reason I'm really answering this is because I get this question a lot, and people are always asking me if I play with Wildcat's friends or if I know Wildcat. So, Wildcat and I have been friends since Modern Warfare 3-ish. How we met was he was a subscriber of mine who joined some of my open lobbies. And at the time, I had like 10,000 subscribers, and he had like 3,000 or so. And we would just play together, and eventually we just kind of became friends to the point where we're playing more often, and then, talking to each other on Twitter and on Skype and stuff, and then we just kind of became friends. But it's kind of how it happened. And Wildcat actually just hit 1 million subscribers, so if you guys went and congratulated him on Twitter or one of his YouTube videos, please be sure to go ahead and do that, because it's not every day somebody hits 1 million subscribers. Definitely a giant accomplishment. It's like the Grammys of the YouTube game. But the second part of the question is, have I played with the people he makes videos with? I've played with them occasionally. Usually when he's in there, he'll invite them in, and that's kind of how it works. But yeah, I get that question a freaking ton, and I figured I would address it. Not really anything to address. Wildcat and I have been friends for a few years now, and that's really all there is to it. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, what are your thoughts on Treyarch having a Call of Duty 2015 set in the American Civil War? A response would be wonderful, and I would love if this was on Dear Nero. Noah from Louisiana. So Noah, this is on Dear Nero. Congratulations to you. So the idea of the Call of Duty 2015 set in the Civil War. I've had to answer this question a lot. People send this question to me a lot. Like, why don't we have a Civil War Call of Duty? We've had World War II. We've had Vietnam. We've had modern. We've had postmodern. Why not? Why don't we have a Civil War Call of Duty? Because it would be awful. It would be terrible to have a Civil War Call of Duty. Are you aware of the weaponry that was used and available to people during the Civil War? Hope you like muskets that take 2 minutes to reload, because that's what we're using. What would the kill streaks be? Cannons? Horses to ride on? It would be awful. The idea of an American Civil War Call of Duty would just be so bad. It would be us sitting in trenches with our freaking muskets, shooting at each other across the freaking field. And occasionally, if we go on a 5 kill streak, we could call in a cannon. It would just be bad. It would... Oh, the sword! We'd have a sword for meleeing. It would not. There was no weaponry. There was nothing. What were the names of those pistols that also take forever to reload? Those big things. We'd have those. We'd have muskets. We'd have a sword. We'd have horses, and we'd have a cannon. And that would be the freaking game. It would be bad. No, just no. Stop with the Civil War idea. Before you ever try and say there needs to be a Civil War Call of Duty, look up some of the weaponry that was used in the Civil War. Because it would be bad. It would be bad. Plus the entire, overtones of racism and slavery would be involved. So that would also be a thing. Next question, he writes. Dear Nero, what is your favorite thing to do in Minecraft? Mine is to build things in creative mode. Keep up the great work. Andres from Mexico. I'm hoping I pronounced that right. It's Andres. Andres? It's like Andre with an S. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I apologize to you, sir. What's my favorite thing to do in Minecraft? Do you like to play in creative mode? I've never really been a big fan of creative mode. My favorite part about Minecraft was always the survival aspect to it. I always loved the survival aspect of Minecraft, and building was always kind of fun to me. I always liked the idea of building these intricate things. Recently, well, not too recently, but last time I was really into Minecraft, which was a few months ago, I was really starting to experiment with redstone and building things like that. Like I built a clock, and I was able to make like strobe lights almost. Well, not really strobe lights. They're basically redstone torches, redstone glass, what are the redstone light things? I can't remember the name of anything, but yeah, basically I would build, lights that would alternate on and off and stuff like that. And we play factions on, you guys may watch Woody's Gamertag. We play factions on his server, and we had this giant base, and I built this whole redstone thing that basically at the flip of a lever, it would, lock all of our chests. And this is a giant freaking room, man. This was like I think it was like 45 by 50 was like the length and width. That's where I'm looking for, of our base. And it was also like 500 blocks tall or something ridiculous like that. But, yeah, so we had this entire room, which the entire outline of the room, and it's like a 40 by 50 room, it was just all chests, and by the flip of a lever, it would instantly lock all those chests, and the flip of a lever, it would unlock them all again. It was just a fantastic idea, because in factions, if you're on someone's lane that you don't own that lane, you can't just open their chest, or you can't use, well, you can open their chest, but you can't use levers, and you can't use buttons, you can't use doors and stuff. So basically, every time we would log out, we make sure all our chests are locked, and that way the only way for them to get into our chest is for them to like blow in through the wall and have the chest blow up that way. And I don't know, Minecraft's always fun. It kind of got ruined for me when I found out how easy it was to cheat in Minecraft, especially in like a factions environment. Like factions was always like my favorite part, or one of my favorite parts. I really liked it. And then I realized how easy it was to just install a client that gave you kill aura, that just gave it so you could see chests through walls, or made so you can just do all these different things. How easy it was to do that, and I was like, wow. So basically, I'm supposed to sit here and play the honor system with people on the internet. And that really didn't work. And ever since then, I've just been kind of out of Minecraft. When I wasn't in Minecraft, I was really into building and survival. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, for Sledgehammer's first Call of Duty game, what maps or guns do you recommend to them? Keep up the amazing videos, Mitch from Nebraska. So Mitch, for Sledgehammer's Call of Duty, things I'm going to recommend to them: symmetrical maps and classic guns. Now, for this next Call of Duty game, what I mean by that is don't just throw in so many random guns. Like, one of the things Call of Duty Ghost did, which some people might like it, me personally, I'm not the biggest fan, is it brought in a bunch of guns that have never been in Call of Duty before. And they're all just weird, They're all weird. I don't have any personal attachments to these guns, I would love to see classics come into their game. I'd like to see MP5s, M16s, and AK-47s, and AK-74Us. Guns like that. Guns that have been in tons of different Call of Duty games. I like just having them there. I think that is something that they could do to kind of ease people into their new Call of Duty game. A lot of people are going to be skeptical, and I can understand that. And I think one of the things they can do is do their best to make balanced maps. Don't just, just throw random tunnels, random junk, and random garbage just everywhere, and just make it a big cluster. Try and make them symmetrical and bring back some classic guns. I think it'd probably be the best thing you could do. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, if you could have any PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 game remastered on the next-gen consoles, what would it be? Congratulations on 170k subs from Joe in New Zealand. So thank you, Joe, first and foremost. What games from the PS2 or the PlayStation 1 would I like to see remastered onto next-gen consoles? This is kind of a... kind of a cop-out, I guess, but for me, this would really be what I would want, right? I would really want, I think it was Madden 05 or Madden 06. To be remade and remastered. Now, I don't want the rosters, right? I don't want the Madden 05 rosters, back with Terrell Owens. I think he was on the Eagles at that time. I don't want any of that, right? I want current rosters. I want, like, next-gen graphics. I want it to be more like Madden used to be. Those of you guys that played Madden, you guys may agree with me on this. I think the single-player mode, like the My Player mode, has gotten worse every single year. When the game mode first came out, and you make a player, you can customize your guy, you can customize his backstory, and then you go in there and you can play, and you can only control your character. Of the 11 people on the football field, this is American football, of the 11 people on there, you can only control your guy, and you can only do what you want to do with him, and it was zoomed in on your player, and it kind of really just made you feel like you only had control of your player, and you were really, it kind of made you feel like you were on the field, And as Madden has progressed, now it's gotten worse every single year. Like, you used to be able to have an apartment, you can upgrade to a house and to a mansion and stuff like that, and you'd have an agent, and you'd have all these things, and you'd make your player, and you'd participate in the NFL draft, and it was just so cool, all the things you could do with it, and every year they take away and take away, and take away, and take away from that. Now it's to the point where if you want to make, for say, a wide receiver on the current Madden, I think Madden 25, you want to make a wide receiver? That's cool. So it doesn't zoom in on your player anymore. Half the time you won't even see your wide receiver. He'll just be way off to the side there. You as the wide receiver have to snap the ball. You have to tell the quarterback when to snap the ball. You as the wide receiver can call the audibles. And you as the wide receiver, you just control everything. You don't participate in the draft. You pick what team you go to. There's no agents. There's nothing. There's nothing like that. It's just a really bad system. It's bad. It's gotten worse every single year. Every single year. And so if I could remaster something, I'd remaster one of the good Maddens with current rosters and current everything else. Just make the My Player like it used to be, which was good. So, yeah. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, you're closing in on your 1,100th video, and I was just wanting to ask, where does the time go? It seems like just last month you uploaded your diversity montage, and by the way, that was my favorite montage. It's awesome. But anyway, how do you feel about the time just flying by, and do you wish the time would just slow down because it goes by so fast? Viper from Pennsylvania. So Viper, thank you first and foremost for the question. And I definitely love that diversity montage you talked about. If you guys haven't seen it, you just go into YouTube and search diversity dualtage. I'm pretty sure I'd be the first result. Diversity's name of the dualtage I did with a friend of mine named Deadly during Modern Warfare 3. And lots of good clips in there that you guys may not have seen yet. So I like that clip. I like that montage a lot. And time does fly. When you're on the internet, like, the internet especially, right? Time just seems to go so fast when you're on the internet, and like almost the entirety of all my days are spent on the internet. And yeah, time definitely flies by ridiculously quickly. Like you look at right now, and we're almost 7 months in to Call of Duty Ghost's life cycle, and it's like, holy crap! We're 7 months in? It doesn't feel like we've been 7 months in. It doesn't feel like it's been 7 months since Call of Duty Ghost came out. I remember, playing Black Ops 2 and be like, you know what, I wonder what the next Call of Duty game is going to be like. I wonder what Infinity Ward's going to do with this new Ghost game. And now we're 7 months into it, and people are starting to talk about Sledgehammer, and the new Sledgehammer game is going to start having trailers and stuff coming out for it soon, and it's like, where the hell does the time go? I guess slowing down time is something I wouldn't really want to do. I don't think I'd want to slow down time necessarily, but yeah, time definitely does go fast, man. It does go fast. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I've been subscribed to your channel for a few months now, and I was wondering, what was the first video you did, and when did you start YouTube? I wish I was there for it, but sadly I wasn't. Have a wonderful day, Jason from Texas. So Jason, my first YouTube channel was a very, very long time ago. I don't even think it was, I think it was like my name and a number. It wasn't even anything like creative or anything. I think the very first video I ever made was with a Dazzle capture card, and that's old school. You guys don't know about the Dazzle. Y'all don't know about the Dazzle DVC 100. That's some high quality stuff right there. I think it was with that, and I think my first video I ever made was probably a quality test, right? And I'm not going to count quality tests because everyone makes quality tests just to see, if they have their render settings right, or if they see if their recording settings are right, or color correction, stuff like that. But the first actual video I made, I think it was a rather short video, if I remember correctly. It was probably some team deathmatch on Call of Duty 4. I think the map itself was the map Downpour, which is probably one of the worst maps in the game, but I did really well that game. And I think it was a very standard across the board style of video, where I basically just said, hi, my name's Nero. I'm going to make videos, and you should watch them because I'm Nero, and I make Call of Duty stuff, and you like Call of Duty stuff, therefore watch my videos. It's kind of just one of those, basically just kind of trying to lay out, hey guys, my name's Nero. I'm going to make videos and stuff, so subscribe and stuff. Bye. And that was really all it was. But that was many, many, many years ago. Very long time. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I think that different Call of Duty games have different effects on different people. I just disliked the launch version of Ghost, so I went back to Black Ops 2, and I seemed to play really well in that game. I wanted to know what you think about the difference of the two games is. Thank you, Amir from MD, which I'm assuming means Maryland. I'm hoping I didn't get that completely wrong, but I'm fairly positive it's Maryland. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But his name is Amir. So Mr. Amir, how are the games different? So I definitely think playing different Call of Duty games makes you play a bit different. Now, for example, I think it's pretty well known that in Infinity Ward style games, going all the way back to Modern Warfare 2, you tend to die a bit quicker. All the guns seem to do a bit more damage. You tend to die pretty quick as compared to Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 and even World of War. It feels as though the guns are a bit weaker, or maybe you have more health somewhere in there, and you just seem to absorb a bit more bullets. It's a bit more about who can stay on target longer and who has more gun skill and stuff. So when you play a bunch of Call of Duty Ghost and then you go back into Black Ops 2, like in Ghost, you're used to dying really quickly. You're used to, if you get shot in the back or something like that, you're going to drop, or if you get shot in the side, you're going to drop. But you go into Black Ops 2, then you just feel like you're invincible. You're like, oh my god, I have so much health, I can turn on all the people, and I can kill all the people, and it's really fun, right? But if you go from Black Ops 2 into Ghost, where you're used to being able to absorb a lot of bullets, then you're going to go into Ghost, and it's going to feel like you're playing a veteran campaign. It's going to feel like you're taking pop shots from everywhere, and you're just dropping them left and right, and you're like, oh my god. So it's a completely different game. Definitely completely different style of games if you compare Black Ops 2 to Call of Duty Ghost. Totally different. And it mainly just comes from how long it takes to kill you in those games. That's really the big difference. But yeah, man, if you go from Ghost into Black Ops 2, I feel as though you're going to do pretty good. But if you go from Black Ops 2 into Ghost, I feel as though there's going to be a bit more of a learning curve in that. I don't know. Let me know if I'm wrong. I think that theory is pretty sound. I don't know. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, what is your favorite video slash series that you've made on your channel, and what do you watch on YouTube when you're not making videos? Keep up the great work. Alfie from Hampshire, United Kingdom. So hopefully I pronounced Hampshire right. Hopefully I pronounced Alfie right. I'm pretty sure I can pronounce Alfie. So my favorite video, it changes, man. You guys, everyone asks me this. It changes a lot. There's an entire playlist on my channel called Montages by Nero. Go watch every video in there. I like my montages especially. I'm especially fond of. My favorite series, I think Dear Nero. Dear Nero is pretty cool. And what do I watch when I'm on YouTube when I'm not making videos? So I like to watch a lot of podcasts. I listen to podcasts a lot. My two favorites are the Co-optional podcast, which is Dodger and Total Biscuit and Jesse Cox, and usually a guest. Wild Crandor is hilarious when he's on there. And then I also like the Painkiller Already podcast with Woody's Gamertag and FPS Kyle and Lefty and Wings of Redemption, although not so much Wings of Redemption lately because he's not on there. I like podcasts a lot, and other than that, I really like to watch like song parodies and stuff. Song parodies, these music in general, and montages. You know, occasionally I'll just go through my favorites, and I'll just watch a bunch of videos of my favorites, and they're always really good. And and by the way, just throwing this out there, every single Borderlands 2 trailer ever made is really fun to watch on YouTube. I like to watch those on occasion as well. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, why does it seem like almost all the big-name Call of Duty YouTube commentators use the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One? The PS3 and the PlayStation 4 is just as good, if not better, yet you rarely see commentators use them. Why is this? Josh from North Carolina. So Josh, the reason more people use the 360 over the PS3 is the 360 is just better at managing things. It's a lot easier being a YouTuber in terms of maintaining a friends list and inviting people into the game, and it's just simple. A lot more simple on the 360. And the Xbox One and the PS4, apparently, spec-wise, the PS4 is a bit stronger, but more people are recording stuff on the Xbox One. There's a couple reasons. One, and this is my main theory, is that a lot of people play it in 360, so they're just going to get an Xbox One. That's how it works. They have their gamer tag. They've had that gamer tag forever. They have all their achievements on there. They're just going to go to the new Xbox, right? Not too many people, I don't believe, went from the 360 to the PS4. I don't think that really happened that much. The same way I don't think a ton of people went from the PS3 to the Xbox One. I just don't believe that really happened. There might be some people, but I don't think it happened at a massive scale. I think people just got the next-gen console that they had previously, and a lot more people had the 360. Another reason is the PlayStation 4, you can't record on it unless you have strippers and stuff. But apparently they're fixing that. I've seen people talking about it on Twitter and stuff, that apparently PlayStation's finally deciding to patch that so people can record their gameplay. But unless you had some kind of stripper set up there, you couldn't actually record anything on the PlayStation 4, and that's probably the main reason as to why you didn't see very many videos from it. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, what is the highest kill streak that you've ever attained in a Call of Duty game? If you remember, what map were you on? What weapon were you using? And for example, mine was a 51 kill streak on Arkaden using the M4A1 in Modern Warfare 3. Enjoy the Wednesday, Galen from New York. So Galen, my best kill streak was a 58 kill streak. It was on Nuketown of the original Black Ops, and I was using a combat knife. And if you haven't guessed, I was spawn trapping and demolition and knifing people as they spawned. My actual best kill streak, I don't know. I really don't know it. I've gone on a bunch of them. A bunch of nukes, a bunch of Moabs, a few counter-strikes here and there. I'd say probably in the 30s to 40s. I really, I'm not sure what my best kill streak overall would be. I'd have to go back and look. I don't know. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I just broke my leg, and I was wondering if you ever broken or fractured any of your bones, and if you have, you know how much it sucks. So much. P.S. Keep up the great work, and have a wonderful day. And this person did not leave his or her name. So, have I ever broken a bone? No. Have I ever fractured anything? No. Have I ever been to the hospital? No. Have I ever really been sick? No. I've never had anything wrong with me medically ever, except for when I was born. When I was born, I was developmentally delayed and couldn't even teach myself how to roll over. I was like literally dumb, and I had something wrong, I forget the word, where there was water in my head and it wasn't draining and something, and they thought I was going to be a vegetable, and then it turned out I wasn't. And I don't know the whole story about that. I should really brush up on that. But yeah, I was almost a vegetable, like literally. But I will say this, I busted my head open like freaking probably 10 times or so have I busted my head open, and it was awful. It sucks. So what I think the most recent time, right, I was at my old house where I grew up, and I was down by the fire hall, and the fire hall had this giant, like, I don't know why, but these giant dirt mounds back behind it. Maybe they're doing construction or something. I don't remember why they were there, but they were always there. And I rode down this hill, and I was going to go hit this jump. And at the time, as was the style, I had baggy pants on. And my baggy pants got caught in my chain as I hit this jump, and I couldn't land properly. And I remember, like, going over the handlebars, and my pants, like my pant leg, was stuck in the chain tire. So I went over the handlebars, hit my head off the tire midair, then crashed. Meanwhile, I'm strapped to my bike still, so I couldn't just like bail out midair and get off my bike. So I'm strapped to my bike, so my pants are stuck on it. So I hit my head and crash and land. My bike falls on me, and my head's all busted open. And mind you, this was behind the fire hall. And so I'm dragging my bloodied body up top towards the fire hall with my bike, and it just so happened to be bingo night at the fire hall that night. And so I knock on the door, and I'm just sitting there with like blood gushing out of my face. And the person answers the door, and she's like, "Oh my God!" She's like wondering what happened. And I'm like, "Can someone help me?" And I was like probably 10 or 12 at the time. And then freaking EMTs all come out, and they were all making a big deal. And they basically cleaned it up and stopped the bleeding. And they said I should go to the hospital to go get checked for a concussion, but I don't like the hospital, so I didn't go. I just got to stay up late that night, because you're not supposed to sleep if you might have a concussion. So I got to stay up really late that night, which is cool, because I was like 10 or 12. So that's my whole story on that. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, in your last Dear Nero, you said that you and your friends used to box for fun. You claimed that you were tall and fast, but not very strong. You said that your friends were strong, but slow. This for some reason reminds me of the Strider Titan versus the Ogre Titans in Titanfall, and you being the Strider and your friends being the Ogres. This leads me to ask, what do you play in Titanfall, and what is your favorite Titan? Thank you and have a great day. Richard from New York. So Richard, that is some really nice association you got going on right there. But my favorite Titan in Titanfall is the Ogre. I haven't really been playing Titanfall a whole lot. I really haven't. The game itself is still kind of fun, but there really is just not a lot there to really keep you, coming back for more. I think it's probably the biggest issue of that game. And a lot of my friends lost interest, and therefore my friends aren't playing it. I don't really feel like playing it, and it just became a whole thing. But yeah, Titanfall. Yeah, not so sure about it anymore. Maybe some DLC will make it awesome again. We'll have to see. Next and final question, he writes, Dear Nero, the apocalypse has started. You have a choice of 3 people to survive with you. Pick from Wildcat, your brother, Toucan, Cypher, Foxhound, Blue Bob, Willie's Gamertag, FPS Kyle, Wings of Redemption, and White Boy 7 Straight, and tell why. Keep being Nero and have a wonderful day. Keep being Nero. The apocalypse has started and I have to pick 3 people to survive with. So number 1, obviously my brother, because he's family. Number 2, probably Wildcat, because he's Wildcat and he's funny. And he's also pretty, he's a pretty big guy, pretty strong guy. He can be pretty big. He's like 6'5" or 6'6" or something ridiculous. So yeah, he's pretty good shape too. So I think he could be essential to surviving. And then I would take FPS Kyle, and hopefully he brings along his associate, FPS Russia, so we can have guns and stuff. So that would work out pretty well. So those would be it. I'd pick my brother, Wildcat, and FPS Kyle, and hopefully he brings along his buddy, FPS Russia, so we can, kill whatever it is the apocalypse has to give us and stuff. So that is this week's episode of Dear Nero, and I hope you guys all enjoyed it. And if you did, please be sure to leave a rating where you guys feel the video deserves. And if you guys like sending your guys' questions for next week's episode of Dear Nero, simply send me a personal message here on YouTube. Make the title of the message, Dear Nero. And then at the end of the week, next Wednesday, I will go through and I'll read all the questions and decide which ones go into next week's episode. So hope you guys all enjoyed the video. And if you did, please be sure to leave a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.